Okay, so now the wires ran underneath the motorhome. It ran up through here under this panel right here, comes out, then runs all the way up and up and up and up and out through this panel right here, and then this is the end of it. Inside the motorhome here, I have the camera mounted up. It's hard to tell. This comes with a housing that it sits in, and I have actually just zip tied to the back or the front of the mirror for right now. I will take this mirror glass out, and maybe I'll make something else so it's a little bit more clean looking and a little bit less chintzy looking. But you can see the wire goes out the back and up, and then I have it tucked under the front edge of the headliner here, and it comes all the way out. And I've removed the sun visor on the driver's side, and then I've moved this A-pillar cover right along here, and then this wire will run all the way down and will meet down here at these wires, and then some of these wires will be powered into the ignition switch here, because like I said, I'm going to be using this as a rear view camera, not just a backup camera. And then what you're going to want to do is, if you're going to use a backup as a rear view camera, not a backup camera, I'm going to go ahead, and I already found the wire here that has power when the ignition is in the on position, and I have a Scotch lock here to just remind me which one it is. And I'm going to hardwire in the camera wire here. The camera wire should be on here along with the wire for the monitor as well, so that whenever the ignition is on, the camera in the back is powered on and the monitor up there is powered on. And then when I get that all wired in, I will I'll show it to you guys. So just a quick note, if you do want to figure out which wire it is on here, all you would have to do is get a test light. That's the easiest way. Or if you have a DVOM meter, you can just back probe any one of these wires with your positive lead, and then turn the ignition on and make sure that when the ignition comes on, that voltage is applied, or the power or the test light powers up, because some of these will light up in the accessory mode, and obviously one of these wires is always hot, that supplies power to that switch. So just be aware of that. Okay, so like I said, you have to run power to the back of the camera and power to the monitor. So what I've done here is I've taken the cables, the Cat 5 cable on the wires, and they're actually bound together for this type of wire. I think this wire is normally used for communication wire. But I went ahead and I stripped both of these wires, and they're the same. One's blue and light blue, and green and light green, and brown and light brown, and orange and light orange. And I'm just going to use both, and I'm just going to remember that the orange and the light orange right here is going to be used for power. I'm going to use the brown and light brown, or I guess tan, for ground. And then I'm going to use the blue for the main feed for the camera. And then when I get back to the back where the camera is, I'll just have to remember that, and then we'll wire it up that way. But I'm going to take this right here, which is going to be the power to the camera and the monitor. And then I have here, I think you call these Scotch locks, or at least I call them Scotch locks. And what happens is you squeeze this together, and there's a hole inside there, and then on the left side there is where you're going to slide this piece of the wire, and then the right side you can see it's hollow all the way through, and that'll go over the main wire right here. And this piece right here actually goes inside the Scotch lock, and what it does is that once you have the wires over it and crimped, this piece will be sticking out of the top here, and then you just crush it with a pair of pliers, and then it penetrates this wire and it contacts these wires right here, and then it basically just supplies power to the camera and the monitor. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that with the ground. Actually, with the ground, I'm just going to use the chassis ground, and I have a screw already drilled right here, and that's just a self-tapping screw that I use, and self-tapping screws are readily available at just about any store. So I'll get that installed, and then we'll head to the back, and I'll show you what's going on from there. Okay, so now I have power wire scotch locked onto the main wire there. I have the ground wires right there for that'll be for the camera and for the monitor. And then I still have to deal with the video wires, but just to check here, I'll put the key in the ignition. We're going to turn it to the on position there, and powers up the monitor. So with that being said, I did take the audio video cable that came with the camera, and this is the end of it, and this is normally like a 30-foot cable, and I just cut it I don't know, about a foot and a half back, and then I stripped the main cover off the wire, and then I did strip the two wires there, and I'm just gonna have to remember that I'm gonna put the red with blue and then the black with the green, and then this will plug right into the video right there, and that's gonna supply the video feed. So I get that spliced in, then we'll go in the back, we'll do the same thing, and then we'll see the end result. Okay, so now I have everything connected here. That goes down to the power plug for the camera and the video plug for the camera, which is going to plug in to those right there, which is coming out the hole we made earlier. So we're going to connect this up, and then we're just going to do some watching on the monitor to see what kind of adjustments we need to do before we button everything up and finalize it. Okay, here we are. We're going to turn the ignition on here and do the test. There we go. So I'm going to brighten this up so you can see a little bit better. Whoa. All right, so this is looking behind us, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. It's nice and clear. Obviously the camera isn't fully mounted, so it's a little off, it's a little unlevel, but we will definitely take care of that. But everything is working here, which is good. So now we can go ahead and start finalizing everything, getting all the wires secured in place, stapling up to the top of the ceiling or making it look nice, and we're going to screw the camera into the back of the RV permanently, and then we're going to fill in the hole, and we'll get back to that. Alright, so I have the final screws in here. Those are self-tapping screws, and I will paint these white to match the RV. And then, I don't know if you can see back behind here or not. It's difficult to see, it's a little bit blurry, but I've already put in some filler, and I'm using Quick Seal Plus, and so this is for kitchen and bath sealant, so it should be waterproof, and I get the higher gloss bright white, so hopefully it's going to match the outside of the RV pretty well. So I'm just going to fill this in and then secure it and test it again and do the final adjustments. Okay, so that's filled in there. This is actually, it's pretty small, so I think once you get down to the ground, it's going to be pretty noticeable. So this is the camera that I initially installed on the back of the RV. This is the one I chose because it did not have the LEDs. One thing I noticed is after the camera stayed on for about 5 minutes, there was quite a bit I guess you call it static or noise coming onto the monitor in the motorhome there, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe it was maybe it had to do with the power of the ground, or had to do with the way the cable was routed through the motorhome and just picking up noise from something else in there. And then what I decided to do was I decided to try that other square camera that I showed earlier with the LEDs, and after plugging that in and leaving it plugged in for about an hour, there was no issues whatsoever. So I think that this camera here is no good. I think it's after it gets warmed up, it starts to fail, and gives you pretty the screen, you could still make out what was going on, but it certainly wasn't clear. So with the new camera in there, overall I'm real pleased with with the result of the backup camera system. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I hope this helps you out. And I will list the products under the description of what I bought. All right, thanks for watching.